Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So today I have more of a general Ninjago talking point that I want to share with you. And I wanted to talk about the intros, of course, as we know. Following the release of Season 8, one of the most controversial issues among many was the removal of the weekend whip and the goodbye of the departure of the fold from the TV series, and an introduction to a new style of intros. And I want to talk about that since a lot of the controversy has died down. It's been a year since Season 8 was released, and, opinions have changed quite drastically, myself included, on the new intro. So I wanted to answer the question, which intro style is better, the pre-movie weekend whip intros or the post-movie intros? And we're talking about, actually, the intros themselves. We're not just looking at music, we're talking about the animation, the visual, and pretty much everything. So with all of that being said, let's get started. The biggest staple of the pre-movie intros was, of course, the famous weekend whip, which was essentially the theme song for Ninjago up until its removal from the series. And I think that's what gets a lot of people nostalgic about those intros. When we look at the animation itself, it is pretty cool for the most part. I love the way how the ninja are introduced. That's something that the new intros kind of do lack. A nice introduction for the ninja and the supporting characters. And I think that's what the pre-movie intros are really good at. However, one thing that the post-movie intro gets a bit better is story. The pre-movie intros, for the most part, weren't too focused on story as much. I mean, you had some that were pretty focused on story, like the Season 6 one was really focused on story, even Season 7 was kind of, but then you had others like, the original Weekend Whip and the Season 4 one, which pretty much had barely any real focus on villains or stories or anything. I am just a huge fan of the Season 9 intro. I can rewatch this thousands of times, and the music is just so amazing, the animation is great, and that's what I really love about the Season 9 intro. It showcases the ninja in a great way, while also having fabulous music, fabulous villain music that is brought into it, and it also has great animation. I mean, yes, the Hunted intro is famous for tons of animation mistakes, but, I don't think it's a big problem given that they're small mistakes, and the intro itself is just really amazing for the most part. Then you have the March of the Oni intro, which is very different, but still really cool for the most part. The music is just very nostalgic for the most part, and it's just crafted wonderfully. But then you sadly have the Season 8 intro, and I do not like the intro at all. It's my least favorite intro to date. And I think this is why it gave a lot of people a bad impression of the post-movie intros, because it just wasn't that good. It felt very rushed, and it didn't introduce the ninja at all, didn't show the ninja, and it had barely any story details except for the end with Lloyd crawling up on the platform and stuff. And I think that's what gave people, including myself, a bad impression. But luckily, Hunted changed that for me. See, I think the reason why people love the pre-movie intros and tend to glorify them is because of the Weekend Whip. Again, the Weekend Whip has a lot of nostalgia associated with it, as it is the theme song, and, I think the music for the new intros is equally amazing. I mean, I love the soundtrack for Ninjago, and I think it's great that they're finally getting to compose the intros. And the music that they've done for the past 3 seasons intros are really amazing. In particular, I love the ones from Season 9 and Season 10 intros. Season 8 one is good, but not my favorite. And I think with the pre-movie intros, it was the Weekend Whip every time, so there's a lot of repetition. And eventually, at least for me, I think it kind of would have gotten boring if it kept going. It was already going on a little bit too long, maybe, and it started to get boring. I mean, you can only remix a song so many times, the same lyrics, but they did a great job remixing the Weekend Whip. And each rendition was new, but at the same time, I don't think I could have lasted many more seasons longer with this. A more gradual kind of change probably would have been better, rather than just having the Weekend Whip one season and, no Weekend Whip the next season. But I think the way they did it was pretty good for the most part. And I would say that the visuals for the new season's intros are a bit better for the reasons I've already stated. They tend to focus more on story, and it just feels a little bit better for the most part. And I think it feels more, story-oriented, plot-oriented, but I think the one thing that it is still to this day kind of missing is character introduction. I wouldn't have minded seeing in the Hunted intro, I think the part where they were running on the chains would have been cool to see the names of the characters appear. And I think that's one thing I would like to see in future intros, more character introduction. And yeah, I think that's all. In the end, I'm going to have to go with the post-movie intros because some of them have just been fabulous. I feel like I can constantly rewatch them. I feel like I can rewatch the March of the Oni and Hunted intros thousands of times. The music is just still really great. the animation, even for the March of the Oni one, the nostalgia really gets you. Well, I love the pre-movie intros, and please don't hate on me just because I like the post-movie intros more. While I love the pre-movie intros, I just don't feel it this way. I love the Weekend Whip, and it's a great theme song, and I would have liked, it did appear briefly in the Season 8 intro, and I would have liked that to happen in the other two intros, and, it was cool. But also, at the same time, I feel like they kind of were a bit lacking on the animation part, but they did introduce the characters, which is something I would like to see from future intros. Thanks for watching this video, guys. If you enjoyed, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, share with anyone ever you know, and be sure to leave a comment detailing what you think of the post-movie intros while compared to the pre-movie Weekend Whip intros. Once again, thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.